Hello, I'm Travis Fontenot, the Executive Director here at the Dixie Center for the Arts. I want to thank you for being one of our supporters by watching this Theater Talk Tuesday series. These interviews give you an in-depth, behind-the-scenes look at the many jobs in the performing arts world. These artists share their stories and journeys with us, the good and the bad, in hopes of inspiring you and giving you a deeper appreciation of the arts. Your support means everything to us, and we rely on patrons like you to help small nonprofits like us remain open for the future generations. To further help us, you can make a donation by clicking on the donation link in the video description. Thank you, and enjoy Theater Talk Tuesdays. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Theater Talk. And today, Olivia Willcox, Louisiana Tech University alumni, is joining me. Hi, Olivia.
Yay! Hey!
So, Louisiana originally, where are you from?
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Bossier City, Louisiana. And I went to college at Louisiana Tech in Ruston.
Awesome. Go Bulldogs.
Yes, Bulldogs.
So where are you now?
So I currently live in New York City. Actually, this September will mark 2 years. So I graduated in 2018. It feels like it has flown by, but at the same time, I feel like I've been here forever. So I graduated in 2018 and then got a summer stock gig. And from there, I went home, found a job, and then I was like, I'm gonna do it. I've always wanted to live there. Let's do it. Why not right now? I'm young. And I found my apartment and I found work, and I've been here ever since.
Awesome. So you just mentioned summer stock. Can you tell us, some of my viewers may not know what summer stock is, so explain that for us.
Oh yeah, so summer stock is a fun thing in theater where most summers theaters will come together and they'll put together like a repertoire of shows. So they can do anywhere between like 3 or 8 shows for a summer, and they just hire artists and performers and actors and like stagehands and directors just for the summer. And so typically you're all housed together. So it's super fun. It's mostly just based in the summer. And I just so happened to get work in Massachusetts. So I got to work on Peter and the Starcatcher, and I actually started as the fight choreographer for Peter and the Starcatcher, and then ended up performing in it a week before. Like I was put in the show a week before opening, so that was fun. So I got to do fight choreography and be in it. So that was a blast.
So you spent the summer in the Berkshires, right?
Mm-hmm.
And weren't you nominated for some kind of award up there? Not to toot your own horn, but I'll do it for you.
Yeah, I was, let's see, that was that was 3 summers ago. So I was in Fun Home, and I got nominated for Broadway World's Best Featured Actress for Joan in Fun Home. So that was super fun. And then the same Broadway World, they came and saw Peter and the Starcatcher, and I got a review for my fight choreography too. So that was awesome.
Yeah. If you don't know what Broadway World is, it's a website, a blog that, you know, documents and talks about theater. It's a great resource just to kind of keep up with things. So if that interests you, it's broadwayworld.com. And it's a really big thing. So congratulations, Olivia.
Thank you.
Our previous interviews, we did mention the Berkshires. I've worked in the as well at Williamstown, and Josh Castile, our deaf actor friend I interviewed previously, also worked in the Berkshires for one summer as well. So summer stock employs a lot of people, and it's a really wonderful kind of seasonal job. It's amazing work is done during those things, but it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and I think it's also great too because my first summer stock was also in the Berkshires, and that was in 2016. And so I had no idea what I was doing. You know, I was still in college. I had just finished my sophomore year. And, you know, I wasn't like a seasoned actress. I didn't know, I had done some fight choreography, but, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing. But summer stock, it gives you the boost that you need to be like, oh, this is the real world. Oh, this is how actors are. Oh, this is how to handle stage management. Like, it just shows you it kind of pops your bubble of school in a controlled environment. It kind of gives you a little taste of what it's like to live as an artist in the real world. But then you go back to school, which is, then you can apply the knowledge and be like, okay, so here are all the gaps that I have. And these are the things that I really struggled with in the quote unquote real world in this summer stock. So like, I need to work on this at school. And so I think that was one of the most beneficial things for me, is because every summer when I was in school, I was at a summer stock. So I thought I love it. I think it's so beneficial for me as an artist, for sure.
It is. And it is a wonderful way for people in college to gain a lot of experience on a professional level.
Yeah.
It's community theater. It's above and beyond that, where it is you live, eat, and breathe this. So
theater.
usually, guideline-wise, 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And most companies will produce, as you said, several shows in the summer. And we at Williamstown were producing 7 shows in 10 weeks. These are from beginning to end, the set building, the putting up. Usually in 36 hours, a show ends. Everything is torn down. The whole show is brought in and installed on the stage, teched, rehearsed, and 36 hours later, a whole brand new show. Now, everything was in a shop somewhere else, and then all the pieces put together. And that's my experience with summer stock, but it employs a lot of college students, helps them get on their feet, get started, and to see, like you said, where their gaps or their personal skills or experiences lack, and they can go back to school if they're in school and say, hey, help me learn this, help me work on this. Or if they're not, because you don't technically need a college education to pursue a career in the arts.
Yeah.
And so you can also find out just where your personal skills lack, and then, you know, go back and be involved with that community theater, be involved somewhere else in the arts, and learn and apply those skills you learned and improve upon them. And then, you know, go build your resume some more with summer stock.
Yeah. And I mean, I've done summer stock since I've been out of school, and I still have the same great experience. Like this past summer, I actually got to go to the Lost Colony. And so I actually helped teach a stage combat class there that they did for 2 weeks. So I was there to help teach, but then also the girl that was being caught on fire, so it's an outdoor theater, the girl that was being caught on fire in the show, she broke her ankle, and they were like, oh my God, what do we do? And they were like, Olivia knows how to be caught on fire. And I was like, I'll do it. And so I was literally just hired to come and be on the beach in the Outer Banks and get caught on fire every night. And it was glorious.
We keep talking about stage combat. Virginia Tech has an amazing stage combat concentration in their School of Theater. So tell us, what is stage combat?
What isn't it? Okay, I think if I had to describe stage combat, from a performer standpoint, so I found it as a performer. It was an elective at Louisiana Tech, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it because it's going to help me as a performer. Because how many shows have you seen where there's a slap or there's a sword fight? And I was like, I, as a performer, don't want to be knocked because I don't know how to do that, you know? So it was my performer eye being like, this is only going to help me get a job. This is only going to help me in the long run. And like, little did I know I would like have a career just in fighting. So I think as a performer, it is learning safely within your, like, how would your character fight this other character? And you're learning how to do that and tell a story through violence, whether it's comedic or dramatic, you're still telling a story with your body language. So it's kind of it's like they call it like a violent dance, you know? And so it's learning how to fight as this character, fighting whoever you have conflict with, but very safely. So the performers are safe. But I even found once I started taking classes and doing things as a performer, I was like, you know what? I actually really want to know how they make this choreography. So I kind of fell in love with the backside of it, where it's someone like I want to teach people how to do it. So from my standpoint now as a teacher of fight choreography, it is teaching someone how to stay in character and fight someone and it be very theatrical and engaging, but also very safe. So there's so much partnering involved. And we kind of, I know my goal as a fight choreographer and even as a performer, I want to make the audience like gasp. I want to make them like it's a 1-2 beat and it comes out of nowhere and it takes their breath away and kind of takes them on an emotional roller coaster. Because I think we've all seen bad combat on stage when it's like supposed to be good and you're like, oh no. And so I wanted to be like, you know what? I don't want it to be bad anymore. And I want the audience to gasp when they see my choreography. And if anything, walk out of the theater and be like, that was so real, you know, and be like, was that slap real? Like, I want that question to happen.
Yeah. Fight choreography is supposed to be safe. It's supposed to look real, and it could be from anything of representing maybe like domestic abuse, someone gets slapped.
Yeah.
So there's an argument for something like that, like violence, where Romeo and Juliet, you know, a lot of people know that show. There's lots of sword fights going on, fake stabbing, especially in Shakespeare, there's lots of it going on. But sometimes it's as simple and non-violent as a comedy show. Think of Three Stooges, everything they did, from the slaps and the falls and the yucks and the tripping over furniture, that is all stage combat. That's choreography done safely so no one is injured. So it's not just like violence, but it is all being safe and making it look like it was dangerous.
Exactly. And it's also, it's put into the training to be, can I do this 8 times a week and be safe and not get a bruise on my leg that I'm falling on 8 times a week, you know? So it's meant for the actors. So it's really, really niche. A lot of people don't know how to teach it for sure, but they don't really understand. But anytime I talk to somebody about combat or fight choreography, they're like, whoa, that's so cool.
So different. I mean, you think about fight choreography and take it out of the realm of theater, put it in television, you know.
Exactly.
Work is the same thing. A lot of those stunt men and women have training and background in the Society of American Fight Directors, which is the organization over fight choreography, fight directing, and everything included in that realm.
Yeah.
They experience in that and they bring it to their art form so everyone can complete those things safely. Like you being put on fire.
Yeah.
Is in that realm of choreography. And stunt.
Oh my God.
Done safely. And it's an amazing thing. If it's done wrong, one, you can be injured. The story's not told well. And the audience is taken out of that suspension of disbelief and be like, hey. And then they get out of the story. They're taking out of that experience. And then we do our job well and we lost our patron. And it lost our value. And everything we do ultimately to entertain in the realm, you know, talking about performing arts.
Yep.
So what else have you done? You're an actress. We covered that already. You have worked professionally with stage combat. What other areas of the arts are you involved with?
Yeah, so I'll kind of just, I don't even know if you know this backstory, kind of how I found theater, because it kind of encompasses all of it. So I went to a very private high school, and I was on the dance line team, but I was also training for the Junior Olympics in horses.
Wow.
And so I enjoyed theater. I had seen some theater. I wasn't like, oh my God, I want to be an actress. You know, like some of those performers who were like, I was born to act, you know, like I never had that. I wanted to be a horse trainer. I wanted to be in dance. Like I just had an appreciation for the arts. I didn't know I wanted to perform. I didn't know I wanted to fight choreography, you know? And so I went to school in high school and I just needed an elective. I had actually dislocated my knee in dance. And so I couldn't ride horses and I couldn't dance. And so my mom was like, well, you need an elective. So like, why don't you go to this theater class? You love theater. And I was like, Mom, that's so lame. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to just do it. I think it'll be fun. So I did. And then I caught the theater bug. And actually the director, our drama teacher, she was a director at a community theater. And she was like, hey, we're doing this show. I know you can dance when your knee heals. Would you be willing to be just a dancer in it? You don't have to act. You don't have to sing. And I was like, oh, that would be really cool. Yeah, sure. So I did the show and I fell in love. So I got involved in the community theater, and it's Academy of Children's Theater. So I loved it. And then I kept doing shows and eventually started acting. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. So as a senior in high school, my knee healed and I was like, you know, I have to decide whether I want to do horses or do theater, like go into school wise. Because they both take up 110% of your time. So I was like, you know what? I felt at peace about it. I was like, I'm going to do theater. I don't know why. I'm just so drawn to it. I don't know why I feel this peace about it, but I'm going to do it. So I went to Louisiana Tech and I majored in theater. And then I also got an emphasis in performing. So then it goes into, you know, I wanted just to be a more rounded performer. So I wanted to do stage combat and learn how to do that. And then turned into, oh, I want to teach this. I want to fight direct. I want to direct this. I want to like put all the pieces together. And I want my name as fight choreographer, fight director. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I got all that training. I got full training in combat and then full training in performance. But I also got full training in marketing. So that's how I paid for my college. So my best friend and I were the marketing directors of the theater at Tech. So I learned those skills like graphic design, press work, anything under the sun with marketing, I learned how to do. And so at the end of my senior year, I was like, I want to move to New York. I just have a draw there. I want to do it so bad. And I was like, but how do I get there? You know, I don't want to get there without a job, but it doesn't really work like that in theater. You can't like get a job by like, I mean, you could audition virtually, but you really need to be in the city and like in the hustle and bustle of it. And so I was like, I want to get a job first so I know I can get paid and move there. So I started, interviewing with off-Broadway companies, Broadway companies for a marketing position. Because I was like, you know what, I'm just going to use the skill that I have to get me there because it's still in theater. So my thumb was still on the pulse of what was happening because I actually ended up getting an off-Broadway gig that I was the marketing associate for. It was an internship at first though. But I was like, you know, I was working 3 jobs, but I was like, at least I'm still in theater, you know, and this off-Broadway director now knows who I am. And that's because of marketing, you know, and that is a skill that I don't know that I would be in New York without the marketing skills that I had, even though I wanted to perform, even though I wanted to teach stage combat. So I'm really thankful for that skill. So I started as a marketing intern that turned into a marketing associate, which then I was like, okay, I've saved up enough money. I'm going to start auditioning. And so I ended up also teaching at Neutral Chaos Combat Studios in Brooklyn. So I started teaching there. And I started auditioning and just talking to people because connections everything in New York. And I ended up getting an off Broadway gig as a fight choreographer. Somebody that I knew from the studio that I helped teach at was like, hey, we really want a female fight choreographer. And his name is Shane. And he was like, my friend is looking for a female fight choreographer for this off Broadway company. And I suggested you. And I was like, wow. What? Okay. I was so nervous. You know, I really trusted myself in my skills, but I had never worked off Broadway before. And I knew no one in that, in the room. Like, I didn't know any of the producers. I knew not a single soul. So I like walked in there and I was like, just rely on what I know. Don't get nervous. They asked you here. You know, I'm the one who knows what's happening. I'm the one who knows how to teach this. No one else does. And so it was really cool. They were just like, here's the project. And I was the fight choreographer for it. And then after that, one of the actors who was the mother, she is a resident playwright at Playwrights Horizon. And she was like, hey, I would love to work with you. And it's an off-Broadway company. So that was pre-COVID. But so yeah, so it's just connections and putting my eggs in like a billion different baskets that got me to where I am. Yeah. So that's a very long story, but that's how I got here.
About the equestrian side of Olivia.
Yeah.
Everyone I interview, when we talk about people's involvement in the arts, everyone has a diverse background. No one is just in a particular area. So just an recurring theme is be diverse, have different experiences, and as long as you're involved, you know, you will continue to learn and be plugged in and get to know someone. And a lot of the times it's you just happen to be around someone and they're like, hey, don't you know how to do this? Yeah, we need someone. Okay, I'll do it. Like, and go. You know, even in auditions, the biggest thing I say when auditions or even interviewing is they want to hire you. You know, in an audition or in an interview for whatever position, they don't want to necessarily look for other people. They want you to be your best and they want to hire you. That's why you're there. Yeah. The hardest part is you walked into the room. They want to hire you. They want to look no further. And so be the best you can be right there. Be as diverse as you can in your experience. And just be like, I know what I'm doing. Hire me. Like you said, you were the only one who knew that. And you just walked in. You weren't as nervous. And we were talking about Broadway, off Broadway. And to put it simply, a Broadway house is 500 seats or more. Off Broadway is $4.99 and less, but still in the off Broadway. But what's off Broadway, Olivia? Could you tell us what that is?
Yeah, it's just a little smaller. It's off Broadway. There's so much more room for experimental theater, and so this one that I ended up directing, it was, you know, it was probably the size of my living room. And so people were like sitting in the actors' laps, and it was an immersive theater. You know, you don't really see that on Broadway anymore, you know, where I can, unless you're really sitting on the stage, which some places do, but in off Broadway, it's for the new works. It's for almost a transition period. So this piece, I think it actually got picked up and is like, not moving to off Broadway, but moving into, I think even a competition, I think last, but pre-COVID. And so it's so much more room for creativity, for if you fail, like, who cares? You didn't spend, it wasn't like a $7 million show on Broadway that failed, you know? In the house sat like 45 people.
That's small.
Just off Broadway, it's a chance for people who don't have a voice to start their voice and then experiment. How did it go? You know, do we want to move this to off Broadway? What were the kinks in it? You know? And so there's a lot less pressure and so much more room for experiment and creativity. So that's why I love working in new works.
It's a great way for people just starting out on any aspect of performing arts, whether it's an actor
Yep.
or playwright or director, fight choreographer, costumer, set designer, any part, it's easier to get in that way and kind of build your chops. And then
Yeah.
just get better and work professionally in New York and not like a summer stock type situation. So it's just another action of getting in and getting some experience before you climb the ladder, as you will naturally do as you get better. It's awesome.
Exactly.
What currently do you have, if anything, stalled because of COVID?
Yeah. So like I said, the woman who played the mother in the show, the off Broadway show, you know, we were supposed to go get lunch, and I was going to go meet the executive director, and that ball was going to start rolling, you know, so that got shut down real quick. So that was, I think, one of the biggest disappointments, was like, this was such a big connection, you know. The connection's still there, obviously, because we can connect like this, but what kind of really stinks about it is that, you know, fight choreography, you have to be more than 6 feet away to tell a physical story of violence. So that kind of really stinks. So that got put on hold. What else? I was involved in a Zoom reading of a show. We did A Doll's House Part 2. So I did that in quarantine. So that's like, that was do what?
With a fellow Louisiana Tech alum.
Yes, Katie Brumfield, my best friend in the whole world. She directed it. So that was an experience that never would have happened if it wasn't for COVID. So my best friend got to direct me in a show, which was just like everything. It was our dreams come true.
Katie will be another person we will interview further along down the line.
Yeah. So those things were new. I don't have anything like currently lined up, but I am also, what I'm very excited about is I'm taking classes with intimacy direction. So I'm taking online classes with that. And for those of you who don't know what that is a director specifically to choreograph and direct an intimate scene between characters on stage. So just like fight choreography, where it's choreographed, there's nothing left up to improv. We do the same thing for like a stage kiss. It is choreographed. It is not sexual. It is choreography. So that way both parties stay safe. There's no feelings involved. So I'm starting to learn about that. And my goal for once COVID goes away is to become a certified teacher in that.
Awesome. Yeah. An intimacy director is a quickly up and coming job in our,
thankfully.
You know, there's a lot of gray area when it comes to those types of things on stage. You know, a lot.
And film. Oh my gosh. I think film, honestly, I think film kind of picked it up way faster than theater. Like the intimacy coordination.
There's so many, there's almost no movie out there that doesn't at least involve a kiss, or if it's about an unwanted advance, those types of things. And it's the job of an intimacy director is to choreograph those moments, but it's also there as a mediator to open the discussion between the people involved and say, what are you comfortable with? What are you not comfortable with? And have that going on. So there are no incidences or accusations of unwanted advance during this professional time. You know, because those incidences and accusations are on the rise in the entertainment business, Hollywood especially, but it is in the theater realm as well. So this is a way having that extra insurance policy of everything's okay, let's talk about it. Make sure everyone's on the same page, and it's all done in a professional manner. So it is done
it's
just like fight choreography.
And it's about time, you know, it's about time that your actors feel safe doing a kiss scene, you know. But yeah, like you said, if somebody has a past trauma and is cast in this role, you know, what if even easy, if they were robbed on the street and they were grabbed aggressively by the arm, they probably don't want to be grabbed aggressively by the arm anymore, you know? And so that's something that they can tell the intimacy coordinator and be like, hey, this is not a thing that I want to happen. It's like, oh, you know, so let's find out another piece that tells the exact same story, you know? So it is high time that has come about, and it's growing really quickly, which is so exciting. Theater is a little slower to get there because it's a lot of the older generation that are kind of, this is the way that theater used to be. So they don't really see the need for it. They'll just be like, well, just kiss her. And it's like, cool. No. So, but it's really slowly starting to integrate into both, which is just really exciting.
So it is taking a while to catch on. As long as we're safe, you know, yeah. There's more and more jobs out there worry about our safety. You know, in other, what's considered real world jobs, there's OSHA, there's other unions and other organizations out there to ensure the safety. Now, in the theater realm, in the acting realm, performing realm, there are unions to protect us. There's Actors Equity Association, there's IATSE, there's the Directors Guild. There's many types of guilds out there and associations for the safety of performers alike in different positions. But there's always something new to explore to ensure our safety. You know, it's a different realm than the rest of the world. And so sometimes it is on the slower end of developing protocols and practices to ensure the safety of their employees. So how has COVID directly affected you? Now, New York is kind of shut down Broadway-wise, performing-wise, until early 2021. Has it forced you to learn any new skills, any new hobbies?
So I love flipping knives, like knife flipping. They're dull. They're a stage knife. Yeah, they're dull. And so I've been like, it's great for hand-eye coordination. So I've just been like flipping those. Have you learned any new things in quarantine?
I've been reading more. I
have too,
trying to adapt, and how can we still have some sort of connection with our community during this?
Yeah.
So some of these interviews are coming from.
But I've definitely have picked up things that I set down since I didn't have time. But then also the studio that I help teach at in Brooklyn, they've been doing like every Friday night doing master classes. And I want to work on my pedagogy skills for a course in fight choreography. And so that has been a challenge to be like, okay, cool. Why am I doing this? You know, I think pedagogy kind of challenges you, and like, why are you an artist? Why do you want to do this very specific thing? And like, why do you want to teach it? And especially in theater, fight choreography is a very specific niche, and there are very little women who teach it. And so even in the studio that I help teach at, there are a lot of females, and we've become super tight knit actually through COVID. You know, we kept up with each other, we push each other, and there aren't enough in teaching it, much less choreographing it. Off Broadway, regional, doesn't matter, you name it. It's always a dude. And I'm just like, I'm over it. I want some female representation because, you know, there are females taking the class and they don't have the same structure as a dude. So they need this connect. Sirens.
It's kind of like the Crane and Rusta, you know. It's
yes. Oh my God. There's also like a motorcycle, not a motorcycle. It's like a dirt bike, like posse that like rides by my window at least 10 times a day, and it drives me insane. Okay, so I'll go back. I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, so women. Typically, yeah. So when you walk into a class that you're taking for combat or walking into a show and there's a fight director, it's always a dude, like always. And females need representation in it, and they need that. And especially with the females that are in the show or in the class, they need to feel comfortable coming up to anyone in the class, but specifically I think women. And Witch Neutral Chaos is awesome in that, because anytime they have a male teacher, they always have a female person to help, because it's all about representation. You know, I'm not going to want to go to a dude and ask them about how to do this certain move because it's uncomfortable for me as a woman to do, you know, that's awkward. I feel more comfortable going up to a woman being like, hey girl, I know you get this, can you come help me? So it just brings representation is so important, and it's really made a big difference. And honestly, the reason that I found like a really strong passion for becoming a female fight choreographer and fight director was anytime that I was in that situation where I was helping a male teacher teach the class and represent the women have always come up to me and are like, it is so nice to be able to talk to you about stuff. Like, thank you, you know? And it's just like little things like that where I'm like, oh no, this is making a difference. You know, whether I don't see it or not, or it's like, I can be in my head one day and just be like, oh my God, I was an awful teacher today. Like that sucked. Or I was just like feeling off, you know, it's just like I can be so self-centered and be like, this is about me and the way I'm teaching. And it is, but it's not, you know? And so do what?
We're always super critical with ourselves.
Exactly. And it's like, but what is it doing for them? And so when people like that do come up to me and they're like, we're so glad you're just even in the room. The pressure went down when a female walks in. And like, no offense to guys, like I love dudes, but like y'all just don't do it. Y'all just don't do it right. I don't even know. But we just.
Yeah. As a male actor, performed, directed, you know, I don't always feel comfortable instructing a female what to do with her body.
Exactly.
Like, it's a close scene, or when I was teaching in high school, we did Romeo and Juliet. You know, I don't understand a female's anatomy as the way a female would understand her own anatomy.
Exactly.
So, especially working with teenagers, and I'm like, what do you feel comfortable with? Like, that's a good conversation to have with anyone when you're talking about those types of things that are dealing with different body parts, or, you know, especially when you're fighting, you know, someone getting elbowed somewhere, or the fellas are often kneed in the genitals, you know, like, would a woman understand what a man is worried about when it comes to doing those things?
You know, all genders representations need to be in the room, just for the sake of having representation, because it just instantly comforts people. You know, to be like, oh, I have this thing in common with them. I feel so much more comfortable going up to them.
And in the performing arts world, especially Broadway, in the past several years, I've noticed the increase of the women's presence in Broadway non-traditional roles. It's dominated heavily by the male directors, male this, male everything, but the women have been coming out and being hired. One female comes to mind right now, Rachel Chafkin, who...
Yes, queen.
Right now on Broadway, there is Hadestown, directed by Rachel. She directed in Natasha Pierre and The Great Comet. When I was at Williamstown, she directed Lempicka, which is a Broadway...
Yes, I saw Lempicka.
Did you? When Katie came and I was there.
Yes.
We got to watch it.
Yeah.
And it's actually headed to Broadway. It got picked up going. So it's one of those things from summer stock or regional theater that got worked on. And it's currently being worked on at a different theater. So it's a process. It went well, and then, we need work on it. And then so she's still involved in that while it's going. But more and more and more women are being featured on Broadway. And so it's coming out everywhere, and it's awesome to have more representation and a different idea, a different point of view. And ultimately what else comes down to it's a unique point of view, because everyone has their own when it comes to making art, whether it's
and that is what theater is, you know, different viewpoints. That's what the different stories are. And if they're all from the male gaze, then like, why are we doing it? You know, why are women even involved? You know, it's empowering to see women step up and be like, no, this is like, this is what we go through, and to have female representation in it, it's really cool to see. And Rachel is, I think, kind of paving the way, honestly.
And there's more and more coming out there. I know she came to mind first.
Totally.
So if you had any advice for someone wanting to start a career in the performing arts, whether it's as an actress, actor, a fight director, anything, marketing, what advice would you give them?
I think, so my 2 cents is never say no to an opportunity and know your worth. And I think that those two kind of go hand in hand. That kind of speaks to my journey, because I never said no. I never said no to the marketing thing that my mentor was like, hey, I want to teach you the skill. It'll help you pay for college. And I was like, okay. I did it. I never said no to learning combat. I was like, it's only going to help me. Okay. I said yes to that. And then I started learning how to teach it. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And I didn't really know my worth as an artist coming to New York, because I always thought like, oh, we're underpaid. That's just the life. And it is, but at the same time, know your worth. Because whenever I got offered the off Broadway gig, I never said no. I was terrified. I didn't know anybody, but I was like, yeah, let's do it. It's only going to help me. Even if you can't see the silver lining in it, like there's always a connection, a tiny connection that's going to get you somewhere else. Marketing helped me get to New York. When I started the marketing, if you would have told me that it helped me get to New York, I would not believe you, because I hated it at the time. And I was like, I'm only doing this to pay for college, And so, but yeah, that's just like the power of not saying no to opportunity. But then when I got the off Broadway gig, I was like, yeah, absolutely, pay me, so know your worth. Most of the time, you're the only person that is going to know what's happening, especially in the fight choreography world. You are the expert. I'm not a Broadway fight director, but when I walk into a room, odds are I know the most out of everybody. So it even, like, they give me a flat rate at the very beginning, and then they kept asking me back. They were like, oh, can you come to this rehearsal? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And they're like, oh, wait, we really want you for Tech Week. And I'm like, okay, can you pay me more? Because this is art. Whenever you commission an artist, like a painter, you commission them for their time and their masterpiece, So for me as a fight choreographer, I'm like, you're paying me for my time that I'm teaching and putting in and the final product, So I'm like, cool, give me a pay raise, and abso-freaking-lutely. And it took me a while to figure that out, because it's always nerve-wracking to ask for more money. But it's like, why are we nervous? This is our art. This is how we make a living. And it is expensive in New York. So that's definitely my 2 advice, is to never say no to an opportunity, and also know your worth. So that's my experience.
When it comes to opportunity, sometimes that opportunity is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
My 2 cents following off what you said is, when I was in college, I was very comfortable in set building and set design. And as a teacher, I did it all the time. Right? I had my students doing it. We did it. I was very, very comfortable. I was in my room. When I started at Louisiana Tech in grad school, I was put in the scenic shop. And so I was very comfortable. And then the opportunity came for me to move up relatively.
Box office.
Right. And I was like, oh no, I'm comfortable where I'm at. Like, no.
Yeah.
And that was my initial reaction. And I was like, being comfortable is not growth.
No.
I answered my own question when I said I'm comfortable. I knew I had to take that opportunity to try something I had no experience in, which selling tickets, the box office, that everything that comes with it. And I absolutely loved it.
You killed it.
Thank you. It now helped me in my current job as the executive director. because I am dealing directly with my patrons. We have a ticketing software, all that stuff. So I now understand that aspect of this job now too, and I was able to
Yeah.
do that and elevate what we had. So just like you said, never say no. You never know what's going to come out of it, and growth is uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
sometimes don't say no. Know your worth. In the beginning, there's going to be a lot of yeses, so a lot of not being paid. But
Mm-hmm.
I said, know your worth. And then there'll come a time when you'll be like, nope, I need to be paid. You
Yeah.
know, that you have to
Yeah.
use in the sense of your summer stock, your unpaid internships. Most of them are paid now, which is fantastic.
Thank God.
Because life gets more expensive as the years go
Yeah.
on. But know your worth. And there's a time to say, you know what? My resume speaks for itself. I can't work for no pay anymore.
Yep. Yeah. And it's kind of like, it wasn't my first time getting paid for fight choreography, but it was the first time, like a good lump sum of money, but also like in a professional sense. I had been paid for like little tiny gigs here and there, but this was like off Broadway. And so like when I got that paycheck, I was like, I just got paid to do my favorite thing in the whole world. And if I hadn't have advocated for myself as an artist, I wouldn't have gotten that. If I had said like, oh, well, I'm kind of nervous because like I've never done this. They don't know that. I walked in that room and I was confident. I was like, I know what I'm doing. And so if I had said no to that opportunity, like it also wouldn't have sparked like this, like it just like renewed my spirit. I was like, this is what I've been training for. Like this moment, it is so worth it, to step out of your comfort zone. And I think that's, yeah, exactly. Like you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable,
Make it till you make it.
Yes, queen.
Acting is that you're telling the story, but
Yeah.
ultimately you're using your skills to fake it. You're faking
Yeah.
experience in the best way possible. So when you're in that new job, fake it till you make it. Say,
Yeah.
I'm the most confident person in the room. Mm-hmm. Don't let them know you're scared.
Yeah, because everybody's scared. Like everyone in the room is only thinking about themselves. Truly.
Yep. They're just as nervous, just as scared. I still get nervous, and I know you do too, for every audition I ever go to. Every interview I've ever done for a job or switching jobs, interviewing for grad school, no matter what it is, I am so scared.
Oh my God. Yeah, it never gets easier.
Because it's always something new. I'm always thinking, getting this job, what's going to do? What's the new things that are going to come at me? I'm kind of nervous, like this is something new. I'm not going to know anyone. But then it becomes my new family.
Oh my God, yeah. And when I moved to New York, so I was in summer stock the summer before I moved to the city, and I sent in my resume to the off-Broadway company for the marketing, and they were like, hey, we'd love to interview you. Great, it's opening night for Fun Home. So I drive from Massachusetts to the city, have my interview. My car gets towed in the city, legit. Worst day of my life. I got the job, thankfully, and then I drove back, was in like just in time for opening to get ready, but ended up getting that job, went home. I had a job with nowhere to stay. And I was like, I originally was going to move with one of my really good friends. And then she was like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't move to New York. I got another job and I'm going to take this. I'm like, that's amazing for you. But like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I was like, do I still move? I don't know a single soul in New York. Like I legit maybe know one person, and she lived in Brooklyn. And I was like, okay, cool. I can either stay here a year and like save up money, or I can just do it. And then if I hate it, I can come home. Oh, my battery is low. That's okay. Okay. But yeah, I was like, I can either be scared and save up money for a year and put it off, or I could just do it now, spend all my money. And then if I have to, I know my mom would help me and I could come home, if I hated it. And so I moved to New York. I found my roommates online on Facebook, and I had no idea who they were. I FaceTimed them. I loved them. And I was like, cool, I'm moving in. So with one suitcase and the coffee, I went to New York. And they're my best friends now. And I've created a life here. And so there's going to be obstacles no matter what you do. And it's just like, just don't let them hinder you from chasing what you want. And like I said, like always saying yes to opportunity, as opposed to focusing on the negative. It's like, okay, well, cool. I could have focused on, well, I'm going to spend all my money, which I did moving to New York, but I'm going to regret it if I don't, you know? And so, yeah, I mean, that's been my whole New York experience, is just saying yes to things and not worrying about obstacles.
And bring it down to a smaller scale. You know, we have younger folks who contribute and come to the Dixie and attend our shows.
Yeah.
And community theater is producing wonderful talent and everything. And so some of them might be wanting to pursue a career. Even if you don't follow theater, my advice would be, as Olivia's been saying, you may not know someone anywhere. You could be moving here to Ruston, moving to a different university. It's the same thing. It's a little smaller scale than New York or another big city, but it's just moving somewhere new. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to study something new. Don't be afraid to learn something new, or just to move when you move into college, you know, if you that route, or whatever trade school you go to. It's going to be scary for a little while. You may not know anyone, but there's nothing there to lose. It's only to gain new knowledge, and no one can take away that education.
No, yeah. I would say for younger artists, it's like, you can do it. You know, we all started there. We were all in your shoes. We were all terrified. And I know I would regret everything if I didn't take the leap and be uncomfortable. It's so worth it. It makes life so much more exciting.
So, and it pays off, you know.
Yeah. Oh my God. And theater is worth it in general, honestly. It's like, yeah, it's so freeing. And being an artist is very hard, but the reward is wonderful.
Well, thank you, Olivia, for joining us today.
Yes.
Your variety of experience, you know, as an actress, stage combatant, state fight director, intimacy director, marketing guru, all of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot
it all got me here.
It did. You combined them and made a career out of them. So thank you for sharing that, helping us see there's more than to do in the arts than just be a performer. So
absolutely.
Enjoy New York.
Thank you.
Weather, I'm kind of jealous.
It's still hot.
Well, it's a little
not as hot as Louisiana.
Humidity, okay. I
do not miss that humidity, let me tell you.
All right, Olivia, thank you so much. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks. Bye.